Guys, so are you all excited for this talk show? Because the best thing about this is you are going to be interacting with a person who is not only a CEO, but is also a TED Talk speaker, and is also an angel investor and mentor to a lot of startups. So any one of you who are here in the session have some plans around startups, might want to know how does the investors look and what they expect out of startups. This is the best time where you can interact with Mr. Sarthak and try and understand how you can work and how you can approach and all these things. After once we are done with the listening story of his, how he started up and how he reached where he is right now. Yeah, so he's just fixing up things and joining the session. He'll be here in any time. So I hope you'll be actually enjoying this app. Yeah, so Vani, over to you. Probably I just had a word with Mr. Sarthak. He's about to join in now.
He is already in, sir.
Is he in?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Please proceed, Vani.
Sure. A very good afternoon, everyone. I, on the behalf of whole CipherSchools team, welcome you all to the day 2 of Cipher Week. Today's session is about Cipher Talks, and our theme for today is Rising Like a Phoenix. The only motive for today is that we want to ensure you guys that no hurdle is greater than your determination to succeed. Our resource person for today is Mr. Sarthak Bakshi. We heartily welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for sparing your time and joining us today. I would like to give a brief introduction about Mr. Sarthak here. Mr. Sarthak Bakshi is the Chief Executive Officer of International Fertility Center, New Delhi, and was recognized as Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia 217 for healthcare and sciences. He is known. He is an engineer by his persona, and a social worker too. As Mr. Anurag already shared, that he's an angel investor, an entrepreneur, and a growth consultant too. So we welcome you, sir. Mr. Sarthak. Welcome you, sir.
My audio.
Yeah, hello.
You are audible, sir.
Thank you. I'm just checking that I'm audible or not. Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yeah. Sorry. So I wasn't able to hear anything before that. So can you just repeat whatever you're saying?
Sure. I, on the behalf of whole CipherSchools team, welcome you and the whole participants here. And I was just giving a brief introduction about you.
Thank you.
Of course, we are heartily grateful to you for sparing your time for us and being here today.
Always a pleasure.
So, sir, I would like to ask questions since I'm very much excited to know about you and your journey so far. So, as much as I have stalked you, I got to know that you were an engineer by persona, but you are into this healthcare science field.
Fertility, yeah.
Exactly. So how did this shift happen?
So the first thing, if I have to start about my journey, my journey started right after college itself. I was lucky enough that I could take a few risks in my life early in the career. And that is one thing that I want to tell everyone about, that your success or failure purely depends on your risk-taking capability. There is no success without any risk. You have to put everything online. And I was lucky and fortunate enough that my parents had backed me to take these risks. So right after college, after a brief stint with Infosys and Ernst and Young, I ventured into business, and I started my own gaming company, an engineer by profession. So back in 2010, iPhone was just launched. iOS was a very new thing. Android was completely free and nowhere in the picture. So in 2010, I started making games for iOS. We did very wonderfully. We were able to get a lot of sales. Our game was number one on the App Store for 1 week. So we almost had 1 million downloads back in 2010. And that gave us a lot of impetus
This
and
is very
belief
true.
that yes, we could do a great thing, we could do wonders. But it was my first year in business. I was 22, 23 back then, and very new. So I was bound to make mistakes. And I can say retrospectively, today I can tell about my mistakes, but back then no one can. So this is one of the things that I agree probably with Steve Jobs, that you can only connect the dots looking backwards, not forwards. Back then, when I was doing, everyone, whoever is doing their own thing, would feel that they're taking the right step. But would it be this right step, or would that be wrong? Only time will tell. And back then, we made a lot of mistakes in terms of hiring, systems and processes, in terms of building an organization from ground up. We were too new, too raw to understand all of this, and because of that, there was 2010 wasn't the right time to raise money. There was a lot of VCs, angel investments were far and few, so we could not have that experience. And eventually, when we started doing losses, it was very difficult to sustain after 1.5 years. There were a few co-founder conflicts. All of the things that you could imagine could go wrong went wrong. And I am grateful that I learned through that failure. The only thing that I want to tell the whole audience is that failure is bound to happen. If you think that your first product or your first service or your first invention or discovery would work, it would not. Nobody in this world has been successful in the first go, barring a few exceptional, 1 in a million cases. Everyone is bound to fail in their first go. They will face a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties. The only solution is that you can face those difficulty and challenges and rise up it from again. Coming back to that point, that when I was going through that hard time, I also had the option of leaving everything, going and doing my MBA, going abroad for further studies, doing for a job and everything. But I had to really make a choice and stuck to my gut that probably I have to let go of this business because we are not doing great in it. We are not the best, probably, gaming company in India, or we are not able to scale that well. So that was a mindset that I had to change. That we, whatever we are doing, isn't the best, or whatever I am doing, I cannot do it better than my peers or competitors. And that is my learning in that business, that it's better to do something that you're great at rather than to do something in which you're average at and try to scale it, even if it's an easier task. So according to all the talks that I gave, I always tell that it's very difficult to find someone's passion or someone's interest. You can only through get that by the difficult method of trying and getting. There is no other way of knowing that what your passion would be or what you would be successful at. Just hard hit and trial. They say that we learn that in chemistry, physics, the hit and trial method. It goes the same way in business also. You have to go for the hit and trial, and one day, if you do a lot of hits, there will be a few misses in them, but one hit is more than enough to compensate for your life. So keep on the hit and trial method, and you will really find that well. So that iOS company gave me a very good understanding of what a business should be like. So that was my learning, that not from the particular way of what I was doing right in business, but what needed to be done in running a business, in running an organization, in running employees, and getting from the HR perspective what it requires to get the best talent in the industry. That is what it taught me. So I moved on to the next thing. The next thing that I started was a laundromat. Fairly simple. We were very inclined. We were following the US markets a lot. We saw that how the Indian engineer population is growing. Pune, Gurgaon, Noida is full of engineers. Brim, 6, 7, 4, 5 males living in apartment, females. All this urban population who had the challenge of laundry. So we were very inspired by the US. We started opening our laundromats. We opened a few. Again, the same process that you come and deposit a coin, the laundry would be washed, it would be dried, and you can take it back. But we tweaked it according to the Indian way, that in India nobody was about to come. So we sent our driver, we gave a guarantee that we'll deliver it within 1 day back to them. The problem in this model was that it was too inspired by the West. We were completely awestruck that if it works in the US, it will work in India also. That was the biggest challenge, because later I realized that we were trying to replace a Shanta Bai or a Kanta Bai. Replacement of a Shanta Bai or Kanta Bai is not a laundromat, but the other Bai that will come within a phone call away. If you call up your say your neighbor, that your help is not there, they'll arrange a new one. If you call your society guard that we require another one, they will help you another. There was always an alternative to us. And it was, every business is so price sensitive, there is so much competition, that if I was doing at an X price, my competitor would come at an X minus 1, the next competitor would come at X minus 2, and that kept on going. So in all of this, the only thing that we could learn was that we were just decreasing our prices. The competition was increasing. We were burning through the roof, and it wasn't ever scalable, because we completely unorganized sector, and no matter how much we try to organize, the population, the penetration from a buy perspective is way higher than an internet perspective back then in 2012. So we failed at that, and luckily I could say that if you see pan India, if you look at the whole geography, there is no, uh, there's not a single startup which is scaled in a laundry way. So the whole sector is doomed. It was just not me, but it's not a scalable model in itself, because our society does not require an automated laundry washing purpose, because we have cheap manual labor available over here, and that is getting cheaper by the day. So when you're trying to emulate any of the Western countries and trying to get an idea from there, if it works, it does not work in India. That was the second biggest learning that we had while we were launching this, that you have to make a product market centric. You have to make a local product. Modi ji is these days keeps on going about make in India, but you have to understand the Indian market first before making in India. And that is what we realized later on, that easier said than done. Understanding an Indian customer, firstly, is price sensitive. Secondly, is time conscious. Thirdly, they require everything in the best of standards in a very cheap price. So you have to completely arrange everything in that sense.
This was really great, sir. So how did this first starting from gaming and then this laundry service, how did it got to launching this international fertility center?
So finally, when I had burned a lot of money and time and energy and resources, it was a final decision that what is the learning after all when when you're trying to completely do something different. And the eventuality of it was that I had to do something where I had a complete control in a business sense, even in a technical sense. If you start something, and this is my 2 cents to the whole society, these are my 2 cents to everyone, that if you're trying to do something in which you're
Product, but you have a tech team and you're not one of the CTOs. One of the CTOs is not a co-founder. I don't believe you will be successful. If you're a finance person and you're dependent on someone who's creating the financial policies around it. If you're a SaaS product and you're not part of the product team, it's very bound to be difficult. And in all the businesses that I was doing, if you're depending on the core product, your core expertise, whatever product that you're doing, if your core expertise is reliant on a few other people, you're bound to fail, because those people are not loyal to you and will never be loyal. And it's very difficult to expect them that they have the same motivation or same passion that you have. So finally, when I finally decided that yes, things weren't working out, and what do we do? So my mother, who is an IVF specialist, she's working with a hospital, and I finally thought that yes, I have a lot of business knowledge now, a lot of marketing, sales, administration, and operation. Wherever I was lacking, it was because you're too dependent on a lot of other people for everything to be smooth as a wheel. For the wheel to churn, there were so many things and parameters are there, but we could not figure that out when we were trying to build the product. Finally, I roped my mother in. I took her as a co-founder, and because I knew at the end of the day, even with many fights or whatever, she will not go away and I will not go away. And that's a match made in heaven. And that's where we started our chain of fertility centers. I understood that again, healthcare as an example has a lot, it's completely unorganized, has a lot of parameters which are not open, which are not transparent. So there are too many things that can be done from a customer centric perspective. So thinking about the customer in mind, and knowing that the technological adoption in healthcare is far and few, it's very less. I could bring in a lot of expertise, but I required a stable co-founder, someone technical who would be there, who would see all the technical capabilities, and I will take care of everything apart from that. And based on that, we started our chain of fertility centers in 2014, and we have grown ever since. So summing it up, that when you're trying to grow a product, the core team is the most responsible thing that you need to develop. 2 people, 3 people, 4 founders, no matter how many founders you are, the core expertise has to lie with you. And based on the other core expertise, all the tertiary and peripheral can be grown apart from it. But unless you have the core expertise with you, you'll keep on struggling depending on other products. This is, for example, a lot of tech products have outsourced their development to an agency, may that be a portal, may that be anything. You were never able to scale those startups up. I've seen that up and close. I've invested in a few startups and I've seen them struggling because of the fact that they're trying to outsource the whole technology bit of their product to some other company. So they struggle a lot. The same way, if a CA or a lawyer, they may have the technical capability, but if you're trying to create a tech product around it, you require a CTO who's in the founding team, who has an equity stake, who will sweat, die, dream, think only about the product, what you are doing. So you require that kind of passion within the same co-founder when you are doing that.
Quite, interesting. What achievements were, that were in your part that made you go to the list of Forbes 30 under 30?
So I would say if you're trying to do good work, achievement would come simultaneously. I won multiple achievements from Forbes 30 under 30, Entrepreneur of the Year by Entrepreneur Magazine, Asia 140 under 40, Business World's Healthcare Person of the Year, multiple things. And those were never the product. They're all byproducts, I'll tell you. Even money is a byproduct. Once you have scale on your side, once you start, when numbers come on your side, everything would fall into place. When you're talking about angel investments, VC money, everybody asks about a scalable idea. Even in the laundry business, it was very easy for me to be profitable. If I had opened up one laundry in one location, if I am in Delhi or Gurgaon, I just need to open a store and it would run wonderfully well. It would be a proper mom and pop store. It will be like a Kirana shop. It's just meeting its own expense and it's running fairly well and it's giving me profit, a very meager profit though it may be, but it's running well. But the challenge is, if I want to replicate that model, scale it, open it in 100 locations, and then see the numbers in the same way, that is the challenge. So when you're trying to talk about awards or anything, it's very easy if you have a scalable model, if you can open multiple things and all those multiple things are set in the same system and process, are in complete coherence with each other, you have the same quality standards in all those places, the numbers and the revenues will start coming in. And that's very difficult, and it's only 1 in 10,000 startups are only able to do that. The rest of them struggle. Why is there probably all tech startups these days? Because it's very easy through tech to reach to other people. uh, if I have to take an example, everyone, before Ola and Uber came in, everyone you did used to take taxi. They used to go outside, stand on the street, on the road, wave their hands, to try to stop the taxi, come, and then they will take by. The challenge was there was no transparency. If the taxi person would ask you for 100 rupees, even for 2 kilometer distance, you would have to give. The next evolution for that was not Ola Uber. The next evolution was for radio taxis, Meru, certain other taxis, Easy Taxi, Meru Taxi, and all of those were, you call them up, you book a taxi in advance, 6 hours in advance, 8 hours in advance, it will be there before pickup. It was not that Meru and Easy Cabs and all these other radio taxis. It wasn't that they were not aware about the technological adoption, but at that point of time, probably this is the early 2010s or late 2005 onward, smartphone penetration wasn't that much. It was very difficult, and the app-based system did not work. So when Ola and Uber came into the picture, they adopted that smartphone revolution. The power was in the hands of customers, and they built a system that you could get a taxi anywhere, any point, anytime in the world. So it's just about the right time that you really need to identify what opportunity is there. The same way, why did even when they had a time to pivot, Meru and Easy Cabs, all these radio taxis, they were not able to, because about by the time they were about to pivot, the other startups had already scaled so much, Uber and Ola, that there was no point in scaling. The same way, even in the e-commerce industry, you will see the same thing. Flipkart and Amazon have such a big market share, over 90% in the e-commerce industry, that even if a new startup comes in and offers the best of discounts, the best of service, everything, it won't make a dent, because their numbers are so huge that you cannot actually compete with them anymore. So the point is that if you get even a double digit market share in any market, above 10% also, is huge in terms of, could be the logistics industry, could be e-commerce, could be healthcare, could be finance, fintech. If you have anything in terms of above a double digit percent share, you're doing wonders. Your numbers are in huge, in crores, in billions, in millions. You are a unicorn in yourself. So everybody needs to understand that when you're talking about scale, you're talking about numbers in terms of reaching to the customer, in terms of people using your app, using your product, using your service, and that number will in turn generate revenue, and that revenue you will earn accolades, you will earn awards, and you would have made a dent in the society. You would have made a product which is so wonderful, so beautiful to use, that sky's the limit for you.
Um, Really, this is really motivating for us all. Sir, can you share something about Earth Scientific, the
So,
tool?
so those are from Earth Scientific perspective, or the other startups that I am part of. Uh, there are few, once you're in the business, you can always forward and backward integrate. I have a training center for doctors, for nurses. Earth Scientific is into, again, equipment manufacturing, that is there. um, so there are few things that I've been doing, as an active angel investor. Also, I support a lot of other startups where I feel can make a dent. um, but instead of talking about just one particular startup, let me let me talk about what eventuality I have learned during my lifetime and experience when you're creating a product or when you're starting something. Um, that it's never easy creating a product. Everybody feels, as I said earlier, that they're doing good. How do you identify if you're doing the right thing? There has to be some mechanism, some check that you can actually do to understand what is the pain point. I get a lot of calls or on LinkedIn that please tell me the product that I'm doing or making, is it correct or not? And I have to reply back to them that if you are unsure about your product, if you're doing, then there is no point in going ahead with the product right now. Just stop it and completely done. And when people talk about that, we are really passionate to be an entrepreneur. We really want to do our own startup. We're just looking for the pain point to solve. You're in India. There are too many pain points. We are completely unorganized. There is a lack of transparency in a lot of processes. The customers can always get better service. Too many things. You just go out, and how do you get to these pain points? If a foreigner is walking down the road, just approach that person and ask them, what do you feel are the challenges, and they will go over the list of problems that they're facing right now. You could take any one of those problems, but if you ask an Indian, because we're so used to the system that we are brought up in, our education, our way of doing things, that we probably don't see those pain points, but there are a lot of pain points that you can solve, that can be solved through technology. Could be physical, could be anything. So when you're talking about startups, and a lot of people, I want to correct entrepreneurs itself, that they create websites or an app, which is not the solution. You don't require to create a website or an app. It's that is not the solution. The process that is being done through technology, that is the solution. um, the technology itself, it's not the disruptor, it's only an enabler. You need to understand that when you're using technology, you're creating a transparent mechanism of doing a process which was earlier done through manually, required human intervention, had to be checked at multiple levels, and only then it went through. Technology has just eased that process into a seamless way of answering things. Um, and India, the biggest solution, or what does India offer, is the numbers. We are 1.38 billion people. We have geo now, or we have smartphone penetration even in the rural level. There's a lot of data being consumed. Our rural people also have the power, apart from the urban consumers that we have. So the biggest thing working with India is numbers, as in penetration. Though those numbers are very low in terms of revenue, because the spending power of each Indian is not that high. Even if you do a very small amount of 5 rupees being spent on an app, or 10 rupees being spent on a service, but if that number is being used by 2 crore people, then that relates to a huge number. So whatever you're thinking about, you have to not think about from a niche product. You have to think about catering to all those 20 crore Indians when you're creating a product. If you're in the Indian ecosystem, if you're creating a global product, then that's a different thing. So when you're using technology, the the thing is, create and use it as an enabler, and create a customer centric product. Unless you create a customer centric product, and all those, if I have to give a few examples, Netflix is a customer centric product. Before Netflix, if all of you know, there was the earlier way of watching movies or something, was rent a DVD, or they would come and send the DVD back home. You need to send it back within 1 week after paying the subscription fees or something. Where did it fail? Because they were charging huge amounts of late fees. Blockbuster was the name of the startup, the name of the huge company. Blockbuster used to send CDs. So Netflix did not create something new with the streaming. They started creating content now, which is a part of the evolution. But before then, when they were also sending out movies, their only pain point was that we are not going to charge late fees to our customer. We are only going to give them streaming services, and they were able to grow so big that Blockbuster does not even exist. Same way, Uber, Ola, they did not disrupt the taxi business. They did not kill the taxi business. They just brought transparency into fares. They just brought accessibility or power in the hand of customers, that I know I need only to pay this much amount of money from this to this. Very transparent. I don't need to negotiate. I don't need to haggle. I don't need to speak to the customer. You book, this is my fees, and I'm very happy with it. Same way, Apple. Apple did not do something crazy with the music industry with the launch of iPod, iStreams, and iThing. They just gave us the power to listen to one. I don't need to buy the full album, as in with earlier CDs or earlier cassettes or earlier tape. I just had the power to choose one song to listen to. I could download it through iTunes or use it on my iPod. That was a great thing. Amazon, Flipkart, again, if you products, having a poor retail experience, going there, trying to speak to a salesman, trying to understand the product, no, nothing. You have all of this through Amazon, Flipkart, which is easy. They just tweak the retail business into giving the power to the customer. Same with Airbnb. They just brought transparency. I know what an apartment would cost, like what are the pictures, what are the services, if it is cleaned or not, who runs that. All of them, all of these examples are purely customer centric business. Your essence, if you have a great customer product, you have, the sky is the limit for you again.
Oh, okay, sir. Can we know something about your other startups? A brief about some of them.
So since I'm from the healthcare background, I invest heavily into a lot of healthcare products, because I feel that instead just about it's not just about angel investments, it's also about helping them strategically into scaling. If I could get access to hospitals, patients data, pharma, help the startups reach into all of these other sectors, I would help them scale much faster. So I become more of a strategic investor rather than purely an angel investor. That's one of my thoughts, key process. Apart from that, I always feel that as a customer-centric product, where I feel that there are good things to be done when you're actually helping the customer. And just ask yourself, a lot of people do say that, this is the customer's pain point. I've seen a lot of founders saying that. But if I ask them, have you taken this question to 10,000 people? None of them have. For them, reaching 10,000 people, they find it very difficult. For me, it's very easy with WhatsApp, with LinkedIn, with uh, so many products through which you can reach a larger audience. It's very easy to reach 10,000 people and do a survey that, if I am creating this, would you pay for it and use it? You need to really ask this question. Would you pay for this service if I create this thing? And if out of those 10,000 people, even if 3,000 people say yes, then you have a product. But the problem over here is people do not go to 10,000 people and they do not ask this question that if would you pay for this product. It will just be asked to 10 different people that are, and that to friends and family who are always your well wishers, who will never say no to you on your face. You will ask them that, I have created this, what do you think about this? And their first answer is, oh, we support you, brother, you are a part of, you go ahead with this, we support you. So those are not the right persons to ask when you're starting your entrepreneurial journey. You need to reach out to the mass and ask that question. And only if the answer is yes, most of the times, go ahead with the journey. So coming back to my startup also, whenever I'm investing, I ask this question to all of them that, have you done that survey? If you haven't, then don't come to me. I need to see that you've reached out to the masses, have done that survey. One of the examples is the stand and pee device, for women, that, that there are dirty toilets, and for clean hygiene, a lot of stand and pee devices are there. So one of the kids that had come to me, that, I have created this is aerodynamically shaped, and this is, the material is there, this is eco-friendly. And I heard all of it, and after half an hour I asked, how many women have you given it out to who have used it? And I said that they will have to. We have asked a few people, but I said, have you gone out of Sulabh Shauchalaya, just stood in the queue, and every woman that is going inside in a public toilet, are you giving it to them to use and then take customer feedback? Just a simple exercise which I wanted them to do it the hard way, give that example, give it to 100 women, and then they come back and ask them, were you comfortable in using this product? And only then I would have invested in that product. So that exercise which they were missing, they would have done at the survey on an IIT portal, on some Facebook survey. They would have done that, but that does not give me the answer. I want them to learn the hard way, that what is the practical learning, that will you actually go out and someone will use your product. So that separates your mentality, knowing that what to. Sachin Dini Bansal did the same thing. To start, as it was only Flipkart was only a book selling portal in the beginning. In 2008, when they were setting up, they used to go on a bike into a second-hand book market, buy books themselves, come and list it. Unless you struggle, or unless you have done that struggle while you are creating this product, you won't ever be successful. You need to dirty your soil, your hands, before you're creating something good. So that's one of the key things I would like to tell you.
I'm just speechless. Sir, I also got to know that you are reaching people outside India. You have held many camps, in different countries or cities like Ethiopia or the other ones. So, how was your experience there? I mean, what were the activities that were held there, or how were the people
I
impacted there?
mean, so in terms of IVF, let me talk about my industry. Then, I'm not the only fertility center. Um, I'm not the only fertility center out there. What can differentiate from other centers is that I have to give an experience. Infertility, somebody suffer for multiple years. When they're trying to have a baby, it's not just that you get married and within 9 months you're trying to conceive. It's a tedious process. And once when any infertile couple, or when someone who's facing these problems comes to us, they come to us after many years. 4 5 years of marriage, some come after 10 years of marriage, somebody comes in the first 2 years of marriage or within the first year. But when they've come to us, they have literally gone to all the other alternative sources or all the remedies. And I might say this jokingly right now, but their first source or their first go-to person is a temple or a gurdwara or a mandir. That's their first go-to point. They'll first go to there. And after 1 or 2 years of doing this rhetorical circle of doing pujas and stuff and going and hoping that a miracle will happen, they'll go to a general doctor, their family doctor. After that, they'll probably go to a gynecologist. And once they've then completed that life cycle, and then when they have taken 3 4 5 years of their time period of going through, after that they come to us. So you see how much of the in the end, how much of this supply chain logistics are we at the end that they come to us, and how much frustration would be there from their side that they've been struggling for so many years without a solution. So when they come to us, they already have a bitter experience. They already have this bitter taste in their mouth, which we have to rectify. So my solution is not just to give them and tell them from a technical and a clinical perspective, okay, that we need to do in vitro fertilization for you. We need to do an IVF. We need to create an embryo outside in a laboratory. What happens inside your body, we need to mimic that process and do something very similar in a scientific way, in an experiment way, because for them, they've already gone through the struggle. So we have to create an experience around it where all this sounds simple, easy, and how can we now help these someone who's been suffering for such a longer time. So unless I create that simple experience for them, this beautiful thing that now you're embarking on a journey. You've come to us. You've come to us to find happiness. My job is not only to give them a baby, but my job is to give them happiness while doing it. It has to feel that process that yes, you're going to enter this beautiful journey. We are going to be a part of your journey. We will help you out. It's not painful. It's an easy process. And it's not your fault. Everybody can go through it. There is no, it's a lifestyle disorder. You are not sure how does someone become infertile? No one can. No one knows. It can be hormonal, can be environmental, can be the smoke, can be the alcohol, can be pollution, can be anything. It's a lifestyle disorder at the end of the day. It happened to you. We are sorry, but it happens to the best of us. Let us be a part of your journey. Let us create a life. Now we kind of create life. We'll create it together. So that's how we have to create the whole journey around it. And that's what we have done. That's how I differentiate my IVF centers from my other competitors and peers. That I do not want to just give a service or a product. I want to give an experience. And that's where I would like to tell all the other people who are listening to me over here right now that you need to sell an experience. Be a customer product. Do not just sell a product. Okay, here is my iPhone. No, buying an iPhone is also an experience. It does not. If you understand, Apple does not sell smartphones. It sells a status. Apple is a status symbol. So it's just selling a status. McDonald's is just not selling a burger. It's selling speed and service. That if you come here within 2 minutes, I'm going to give you. Anybody can give a burger, but giving a great burger within 2 minutes, that's a service. McDonald's. And same for Red Bull. A lot of energy drinks out there, but why would I go for Red Bull? Because it gives me a sense of adventure and adrenaline. That yes, if I am having Red Bull, I have that adrenaline and that adventure. Harley Davidson, it's just not selling motorcycles. It's selling the concept of, I'm a macho man. I have the freedom. I have the power. So you understand that it has to do a lot of its psychology. Once you're coming in, you're not only coming for a product. You're coming with what do I get with this product? I get a sense of freedom, a sense of machoism, a sense of adventure, a sense of speed. Everything has a different experience to it. Create that experience with your product or something or that. Good example, Coca-Cola. You see the ads. Coca-Cola is trying to sell happiness. It's not saying that I am a fuzzy drink. I am a cola drink. You open Coca-Cola for a bottle of happiness. Have you seen that on all their ads? Open Coca-Cola for a bottle of happiness. It's trying to sell that once you open, we're selling happiness. It's a joy. You need to celebrate open Coca-Cola, open Coke. It's a joy. Same with Disney. Disney does not sell movies or adventure parks. It's a place of joy. For happy people, come to Disney. Come watch Disney movies. Come to Disneyland. So all about that. It's all psychology. Think about that when you're trying to create a product. you're a millennial, you're young people, for you would like to go and hang out in Starbucks, because why? Starbucks is a place for, it's not just about coffee. You can get coffee in Barista Cafe, Coffee Day, your local coffee cafes around here. But why do you want to go to Starbucks? Why do you want to go to Starbucks and do a check-in or update your status on Facebook, do an Instagram that I'm in Starbucks? Because that's a thing for the millennials. It's that status. So everything has a purpose behind it. If you understand that logic earlier and as early as possible, you have created a unicorn product. And I hope everyone that's listening to me right now can understand that you create that experience, create that customer centric product. If you understood those two simple little things, you are on a successful journey.
So, I would like to request all the participants, if you guys have any questions, you can start them dropping in the chat menu. And last but not the least, sir, any advice for all the young entrepreneurs here?
I've been giving advice for a lot of time, but a few
Something,
things that I would want to, before, yeah, I would actually tell that one of the few things that, because I speak to so many entrepreneurs, is there's nothing called as immediate result. You see your peers, Zomatos, the ones that have become unicorns earlier, it took multiple years to reach that level, reach that stage. They did not get that there within 1 year or 2 years. Nobody got funding within the first 2 months or 1 month. If you're trying for immediate results, that won't work. You have to be very patient. Um, Time is one of the best healers, and time is something that you need to have in mind when creating a product, when creating something. Give yourself at least 2 years. Do not think that if I don't succeed, if I don't raise money, if people don't download it, if people don't use it within the first 4 to 5 months, my product is not successful. Not at all. Give yourself a complete 2 years for you. Give yourself time, give your product time to evolve, to understand, to do something, and it will eventually work. So I see that we're getting a lot of questions.
Yes, sir.
Say from Vibha, how to choose your niche, how to identify your niche. As I said, that my niche is completely different from yours. If you can't find your passion right now, or if you can't find something that you're good at, but something that you want to, as I said, what would be the thing that you will keep on trying for 2 years? I want you to give 2 years of your life into one thing only. You're going to keep trying that, no matter if you don't earn money out of it, no matter if you have to spend money into doing that. If you're, but what is there something that will keep you working at it? Will keep you happy, even if you're not, even if you're losing money, if you're making losses. If you can find that, you found your niche. Could be anything, depends on making a tech product, could be embroidery, could be learning to do something, could be dance classes, but something that you're willing to give a lot of your time onto, and for a minimum amount of 2 years. If you can do that, you will find your niche. If you can't, if you're going to keep on jumping around from one idea to the other and want immediate success, you won't be able to find your niche. Give yourself time and you will get your niche over there.
So
Talking about fun.
I
Yeah,
want to
sorry.
ask something here. Um,
Yeah.
As you just told us that you first created that game app, and then you went into that laundry thing, and you tried many things also. When there is always that click that it will work. When you were into
Yeah.
maybe it's because knowing the need of the hour or getting the pain point, but how did you got to know that
Mhm.
this will survive this IVF thing?
No, there is nothing. As I said earlier, that even to fail, I gave myself 2 years. I did not fail my gaming startup, my laundry startup. Both of them took 2 years to fail. I did not fail within the first 3, 4 months. Money problem. A lot of people would come into that I started this product. I have 10 lakh rupees and I am going to go all in. If you have 10 lakh rupees, don't start your product. Or if you have 10 lakh rupees, would that sustain you for 2 years? Only then start your product. A lot of people do not plan properly before venturing into it. Don't just go for it. You're expecting immediate results, you're expecting immediate thing. Even to fail, give yourself time to fail, because you will understand so many things when you're failing. You won't understand a lot of things just because you're trying. When you're trying to do too many things, you're not understanding a lot of those things. So when you said that, I did do a lot of things. I gave myself time while I was doing all those things. I did just not do them and then moved on to the next or moved on to the next. I wasn't doing them simultaneously. Let me do my gaming, laundry, fertility starters all together. You people do that, but once they have achieved something, once they're at level, Jeff Bezos can now do 500 things simultaneously because he's reached level. Mukesh Ambani can do whatever he wants. They've surpassed that level. But when you're starting, when you are at ground zero, you really need yourself to give time with a proper plan, a budgeted, thought out process, a well discussed with a lot of other people, with a lot of other founders, and only then within 2 years you'll be able to be successful. All of these factors, no, there is no secret recipe which people keep on asking me, what's the secret recipe for success? The only secret recipe is hard work, giving yourself time, give yourself 2 to 3 years, and you see, why won't it work? It works. Generally everything works if you're patient enough with them. You create coming back to a few questions that a lot of people, as I said, that how do we get funding for our startup? This is, I mean, if you have a good product, money is always there. Kunal has asked me, I tell this to a lot of people that with the amount of money flowing in the market, I told you that back in 2010, when I was trying to understand, there was no money or there was less access to money with accelerators, incubators, and so many other things, VCs, angels. There is no problem of money. The problem is of a great team, a scalable product, a good founder. All of that is missing. If you have a great idea, you can reach out to me personally on LinkedIn or email or phone call, and I'll help you raise the money. Raising money is not the problem. The other things, that is the problem. Um, I've been asked, so a lot of people are asking about how do you make the right team and how do you choose a team. As I said, it's easier to get a girlfriend, then it's more difficult to find the same co-founder partner who has the same wishes. Because when you're finding someone as a girlfriend or something, you're very aligned, that their role is different and your role is different in a relationship. But when you find a team, when you're two co-founders, three co-founders, you're completely aligned with each other. You're doing the same thing. Between a boyfriend and a girlfriend, your roles are defined. This is their job, this is their job. With a co-founder team, you can think your roles are defined, but no, the trust amount, you have to trust them more than your girlfriend if for a co-founder, because whatever decision they are taking should be in the benefit of the overall scheme of things, your overall idea, whatever that is. So when you're trying to find a team, to find someone who you can trust your life with. If you have an iota of doubt in that person, the decision that he or she is taking, that might not be, there could be better, I could do better, you should have done this, I should have done that. If you have this iota of doubt, then your startup won't be successful because you're doubting your co-founder. You need to completely uh, complete trust on that person with whatever decision, kind of like your life depends on you. Only then choose your co-founding team, not just because of the skill set. One of the points over here is that I've seen a lot of co-founders fail because they used to say that it's his skill set and this is my skill set, and we are completely separate from it. That they would see, it's good that you have your skill set separated from each other, but I would eventually say that instead of saying that your ideas are separated, just think that how can you align yourself with each other so that it becomes easy for you guys to scale the product. Unless you two are in together with each other all the time, you don't find the right co-founder team, and it's not an easy process finding the right co-founder. It's again, know the person well, before getting into bed with someone. Think about them, meet them, speak to them, be aligned with them, take your time with the other person and understand your ideas. Once you're both together, have the same passion, have the same attitude that you want to work on the weekends. It can't be that one person wants to work on Saturday and the other person wants to work on Sunday. You have to be completely aligned with each other. Once you all are aligned with together, then you have the right team with you. Okay. We need to explore to find method. So since mostly people are in college and they're asking, that I I would say college is the best time. You guys have, this is the time see, that you have a lot of financial freedom. You don't need to support anyone. Your family is self-sustainable. They're happy. They're earning themselves. You have a lot of time on your hands where you can explore things apart from your college. And uh, you have the capability to reach out to a lot of people. You have a captive audience in the college itself to ask to a lot of your fellow students, a lot of your fellow colleagues, if the idea would work or not. So for me, college has always been the best things to try new things. Don't be afraid of failures in college. um, when you're trying to explore, you need to go out, and since you're, I don't know when the placements would start or what, you have a backup option already there. Between this, after first year, between the second year to fourth year, it is the time to start on your, wear an entrepreneurial hat and start something. Start anything which you feel that, yes, I can give my 3 years in my college too, and let me see how it scales up or not. A lot of great products have started from the college, from the college itself. You don't have any family to support. You have a lot of free time on your hand. You don't have any financial liabilities yourself. You have a backup plan if you pass out of college, what you can do. For me, college is the best time to try something new. If I was asking, this is for Yuvraj probably would ask this. And Manav is asking, what skills should we learn during college? There, no skill goes waste. Could be from a tech perspective, if you're trying to learn any new language, that is helpful. From a communication marketing perspective, college is the best time to learn any kind of skill. Nothing would go waste. Sooner or later, eventuality in your life, you have a very long life ahead of you, everything will come in handy. If you know what you want to do, then you need to learn that skill. But if you don't know what to do, try and keep on learning new skills, because you will be able to use them sooner or later in your life. So Piyush is asking how to reach out to people for asking, will they use our idea? So my suggestion to you is, if you know a few founders, best thing is to reach out to 10 to 15 founders and ask them, this is my idea. When you were discussing about your idea, what were the challenges you were facing, and what was the thought process in yours? So from a founder to founder, you can align yourself. And when you're reaching, even so that is from a founder perspective. But if you're reaching out to a general people, general audience, the purpose to reach out to a general audience is to know, because the general audience uses everything. So they are generalized products. So if you are reaching out to a general audience, you need to ask them, as I said, will you pay for my product if I sell it for X amount and if I give you all these services? If out of the general audience, even 20%, 5% are saying yes, 10% is a huge number. If the sample size is huge, if out of that huge sample size, if 10 people are saying yes, then you are asking the right question to the right people, and you might go ahead with the idea. Uh, so I've been asking, just any source or books or resource persons to be motivated and keep on going. There is always, you should read about, as an example, reading about business studies, case studies. What went right and what went wrong. I think that's been my biggest learning. This So as I said, business case studies learning has been my greatest learning. I always understand, from case studies, journals and Harvard Business Review, because it shapes up your idea, that what people trying to do, form of learn from companies that have scaled up very well, how successfully have they scaled up, what successfully they haven't done, and a lot of companies, where did they go wrong while scaling up, what all the faults what they did. It's always a learn. There are a lot of YouTube channels that give you these business case studies. This business casual, cold fusion, a lot of these things. For me, motivation does not come out. There are a lot of self motivation books, and from Shiv Khedas to a lot of other motivating authors. But for me, that is a very general gyan. I do not want general audience or general gyan. You need to early, you need to do all of this. This is very generalized stuff. I require more authenticated knowledge about while shaping the idea. If you guys should start reading economic times, start learning into delving into financial world. People want to raise money. What is the form of raising money? What valuations are going on? What is the PE ratio to a thing? How do I do market analysis, market statistics? All this can be learned if you're starting indulging into a financial sense of things. So if you are into, if you want to read something, start evolving into a more learned source of thing. The more knowledge that you get, the better your idea shapes up, and the better the clarity that you will get in your mind while you're saying, while you're shaping up. So as much knowledge as you can get, nothing goes waste there. Then starting alone or starting with a team completely depends in you. If personally asking me, when we also invest, we generally invest onto a team rather than a single co-founder, because it becomes easier for you to hedge a risk. There is no, it's not that a person alone can't start a product. They can be very successful. They have been successful. But once you start with a team, because when you're starting, your resources are limited, your money is limited, your skills are limited. So when two people or three people or more people do it, it increases. The probability of your success increases because there are more brain aligned, or more people or more resources are aligned towards that single vision. But when you're singly doing it, it becomes harder on you, tougher for you. You have to manage everything. But that doesn't mean that won't be successful. So answering Ritesh is that if you are a single or a multiple team, that completely depends on you. There is no hard and fast rule, but I have given you my viewpoint on what a team makes, what a difference does a team make compared to a single founder. Kunal is asking, I can't find my team. What should I do? Find harder, try harder. I do not believe that, if you're in search for something and you can't find it, you can definitely find it. Give yourself time, as I've said earlier. If you be patient enough, because once you find a team, there is no backing off. If you align yourself someone, it's like kind of like a marriage. If you marry someone, you can't back off after 2 months or and you don't like that. So give yourself time, try more resources, try different strategies. Everything works. Yeah, you need to find people. There are co-founder websites now. If you're looking at it, there are multiple ways. No, finding someone is not difficult. Finding the right person is the most difficult thing. And then Gopal is asking, we have to make a tag or experience with our product, but how would we know whether we have opted is the right and would be successful? So Gopal, again, nobody knows what is the right thing or could be successful in the future. You're asking as if in one of the sci-fi movies, I could predict the future, or you can. No one predicts the future. But you have a general sense of things that what you're trying to do. I give a lot of advice, but does not mean that all my advice is the correct thing. Or if even one day Mukesh Ambani tells you to do something, that does not necessarily mean that would be the right thing for you. There is no guarantee in the world that whatever you are doing is the right thing. But as long as you believe in the product, as long as you believe in the service, and as long as your customers are happy using your service, you're doing the right thing. And so the point is, you stop doubting yourself, believe in yourself, keep doing that thing consistently for a long period of time. And if your numbers are increasing, you're doing the right thing. Don't worry about the future. The future is all yours then. Um, Srivastav is asking, what should we do when we start? Should we strive for perfection, or should we just start and then slowly achieve perfection? So very good question, Srivastav. That nobody finds perfection. There is nothing called as perfection. I in one of very good question in the sense is, a lot of people keep on delaying their product launch or keep on delaying their product because of the fact that they are looking to make that perfect, or that perfect thing before launching them. There's nothing of that sort. I can give you 5,000 examples right now of how products have evolved. LensCard, which started as only an optical, is now has a 3D face mapping technology where which it will map your face, will give you a product, will change colors. Did it start like that? Never. Uber, Ola, did it actually start with each and every with the rating, with the system that you can compare, with an SOS button if you are in danger. Haven't their tech evolved? When example Flipkart, Amazon did, were they doing so many things in terms of a product that you're getting it these days? None of them all. They started at basic crude websites and have evolved as your customer keeps on getting evolved, your technology, you keep on getting evolved as a technical product, and the same way the world does. So do not think about perfection, because you will get that if you're doing the right thing. But your product needs to be stable. My more important sense is that start only when you have something stable with you or something concrete with you. Don't rush into things, which I've seen multiple times. Will people create a website and an app and then they just onto it? Think about it, plan it perfectly well, and then start it. You have a stable product, that's more than enough. Just go ahead when once you are stable enough and you have a clear planned strategy in place on how to acquire customers. That is more important for me rather than perfection.
So I guess this was it, sir.
I guess
Thank you so much.
that's up with all the questions. Yeah.
Oh, we already got one. Should we target a large section at the very start, or if start, or should I do it in a small area or small section of people?
Again, this is for the kind of what is your product? Your strategy depends on your product, not the other way around. Your strategy does not depend. Your product does not depend on your strategy. Should I target a large audience? Should I target a small audience? It is it. What is your service or product? Based on that, you devise the strategy, not the other way around. I don't know my product is, but should I ask 500 people, do you like it? Or should I ask 5 people, do you like it? If my product is used by 5 lakh people, then then I need to ask 5 lakh people. If my product is only for someone who has, say, if I have to ask about healthcare, if someone suffers from lymphoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma, it's a rare disease. It's a disease, but it's very few restricted. I can't go out and ask 25 lakh people if they're going to use this device, which decreases their chances of getting Hodgkin's lymphoma. That does not make sense. So what is more than Kunal? So before that, try and think about the product. We will devise a strategy based on what are you trying to achieve, and targeting the audience then makes more sense rather than targeting the audience before that. I hope I was able to answer that.
Sure, sir. You have actually helped a lot to us to achieve our motive for today. That is, no hurdle is actually bigger than the determination. So when you have not much amount for your product or your startup, but you know that products are centralized to the customer, and you know the market of that product will work.
So Ayushi, when you're talking about, again, I probably have spoken about this earlier, in the fact that a lot of people would say that they have everything apart from the financial capability or apart from the financial to scale that product. We get this question a lot of times that we have everything. So if you can prove that, and I said that earlier, if you can prove that your products are centralized to the customer and the product will work, if you can prove that, I will guarantee that I will give you the money, or like, I will get you the money. But it's again the same thing. I don't want it to say that it's my word against your word. But how do you prove that your customers are centralized, or you have a good product and the product will work? If and else's or if and buts. If you have answers to these if and buts, and if you have a POC in place, why do they say that you need to get that proof of concept, or if you have to have that MVP, a minimum viable product is already in place, it's already being used? Money will flow. I'm telling you again and again, money is not the constraint. The other challenges are the constraint. You yourself are saying that I have an MVP, I have done my POCs, I have a limited audience that is continuously using it. If you have all of that, let me connect you to a lot of people who will help you raise money or who will help you give money. That's not a problem at all. But let me see that MVP, let me see that POC, let me see that how much what you have done and how customers are reacting to it. That's more important. I guess that's about all of the questions.
Exactly. I hope we should. It's all. Exactly. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us and, of course, sparing your time for us. It's really
Thank
honorable
you.
to for me to moderate this session, and it was really
Yeah.
having you. It was really very great having you, sir. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. It was a pleasure speaking to all the audience. A pleasure speaking to everyone out there. And I can be personally reached out to on LinkedIn or on phone or calls or emails. And I would love to help anyone in their ideas and anyone who wants to discuss with me about anything that they are wishing to, because this is your time. These are millennials and college going students are the one most who are more passionate and have the most amount of zeal and entrepreneurship in them to do something. You guys should definitely do something ahead with it.
Sure. Surya is asking how to reach you. Well, I'll drop your LinkedIn
So
ID,
yeah,
LinkedIn
you would do
link.
that. I'm very sure you can drop the other IDs also.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Okay, thank you. Thank
okay,
pleasure.
sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I hope you loved this session. Stay tuned with us for more such sessions, and that's how we end up